Regardless of how educated you are or how smart you think you may be, the need to understand financial intelligence and to have the ability to apply this body of knowledge can have tremendous transformational effect on your life. I want to say this that financial intelligence is relevant to the average person out there. It is relevant to the entrepreneur and it is relevant to even government institutions. I'm happy to say that at Global Capital Inc., we have designed a very unique program that takes you into the belly of financial intelligence. In fact, we have designed a number of financial intelligence masterclasses and bootcamps to really unlock some of the historical data, current data, and future perspective of looking at financial intelligence. And again, we have absolutely no doubt that these programs will have tremendous transformational effect on your life. And let me put this to you. The average person out there may understand the debt capital market, but what is the difference between the DCM and the ECM, the equity capital market, and what is the competitive financial advantage in working with each of these markets? It's important for you to take the time out to understand these realities. The next question that I wanted to put to you is what is the major difference between the smart capital market or the beginner's financial market and the DCM, the debt capital market, and the ECM, the equity capital market? There are major difference. It's like one is night and the other is day in terms of access to capital and capital leverage. My advice is to you is that it's important for you to give yourself the time to really understand how the global financial market works and how to take pockets of information, snippets of information out of this range of information, apply it to your life. And I want to show you, you will be able to achieve financial independence and financial freedom much earlier in your life. And it would certainly help if you get a PFA, a professional financial advisor, and a personal financial advisor to work with you at the beginning to really help you to understand how to navigate this platform. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit more about one of the programs that we have designed at Global Capital Inc. And the program that I want to talk to you very briefly about is our 10X Wealth Leadership Bootcamp. This is one of our signature programs, is one of our flagship programs, and I would really love to spend some time and ask you to give me the permission to bring this program into your computer screen and into your life, just for a few minutes. Just before I get going, do permit me to introduce myself. My name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the multiple best-selling author for several books, including Billionaire Codes and Manager's Toolkit. My new book titled 10X, Branding and Marketing, The Psychology of Doing Business, will be out very soon. It's already written. It's a beautiful book. This is one of those books that targets businesses. So whether you have a small, medium, or large scale business, there is something in this book for you. If you're a person that likes reading and want to make your life better and you want to learn systems and techniques and tools that you may be able to apply in your future role at work, this is an excellent read for you. And just let me whet your appetite a little bit. From the get-go of this book, we really unlock the importance of corporate culture. Now, your organization across the world rises or falls on culture. Now, what is culture? Culture represents every single atom of your organization. So what this program begins by doing is really putting corporate culture to you and forcing you to ask yourself the question, and that is your corporate culture designed to have larger than life impact on four important areas of the institution? One, as you build out your corporate culture must be designed to have larger than life impact on the internal and external workforce. And what exact game plan do you have to achieve larger than life impact? My advice is that every modern and relevant corporate culture must begin to take these factors into consideration as you build out your corporate culture. You want your corporate culture to have larger than life impact on the workforce. Step two, you want your corporate culture to have larger than life impact on the specific target market, because the specific target market are those who will come to make continuous investment into your business. They too will be referred others to your organization. So the larger the impact is the better the results in terms of enhancing the cash flowing potential of your operation, scaling the operation, fast tracking the scaling of your operation, and so much more. So your corporate culture must never be accidental in this regard. You have to be intentional in terms of the programs and the systems that you're putting in place to achieve larger than life impact at the point of the specific target market. Step three, you want your corporate culture to have larger than life impact on the general public. Why is this so important? It's important because of referral. The general public might be some of your biggest cheerleaders. They know about your brand, they like your brand, they may not be using your brand, but they believe in your brand. So everyone that they know that might be potential consumers, they refer those persons to your brand. Last but not least, you want to build out your corporate culture to have a larger than life impact on the bottom line, the cash flowing potential of the organization, the growth of the organization, the diversification of the organization, the local, regional, international integration of the organization. Your corporate culture can significantly influence all of this. So this program that we have designed goes deep into the belly of this. Along with this, we move to as the second stage of the corporate culture. And here is where we talk to you about a corporate culture being built out to defend against domestic and foreign threats. Yes, you have domestic competition that can undermine the growth and development of your organization, because the element of competition can be ruthless, it can be stabbed in the back, it can be totally unfair. That perhaps is the nature of competition, or perhaps it is human nature. You got to figure it out for yourself. The most important thing here is that you want to make sure that while you take the time to figure it out, that you have defense mechanism within your corporate culture to sustain the growth and continuity of your business. Now, domestic competition is not the only thing for you to worry about. You have FDIs, foreign direct investment, foreign threats that can come into your comfort zone, your country, your space of doing business, and significantly interrupt how the game is played. Because they're going to come with a high level of quality and standards. They're going to come with access to capital, a diversified portfolio of capital. They will be coming with debt capital, equity capital, and of course, they know how to leverage smart capital systems. They will come all of that, and you might be just be dependent on debt capital at high interest rate. How can you compete with FDI that is going to come with all of this? So this book looks into all of this and ensure that you are pre-prepared in building out your company, in integrating your operation into local, regional, and international market, and ensuring that you are thinking ahead, seeing beyond problems, and you're in a position of strength to take informed action to achieve desired results. And the desired results is to attain and maintain your competitive advantage in business. The last concept that we bring you to here is what we call your corporate culture and your business conversion factors. And of course, if you're not converting first time users into lifetime customers, you just don't have a business. So you constantly have to keep asking yourself, am I making a strong enough impact on my first time users? And is my corporate culture built up so strong so as to convert first time users into lifetime customers? Do you have your corporate culture built out to achieve this? This book talks about all of this and so much more. So, this is just to whet your appetite of this new book that is coming to you. These systems are part of our 10x programs that we are going to be introducing to businesses and people across the region and the world that can give you the competitive advantage. I trust you would have enjoyed that little introduction to my new book, 10x Branding and Marketing, The Psychology of Doing More. There's so much more to learn with this project. But I want to talk to you today some more about financial intelligence. You see, financial intelligence is not just about cash flow maximization. To build wealth is not about how much money you make, it's how much money you keep and how much money you're able to invest. But I want to take it a step further. One of the things that I want to talk about today is debt management. At Global Capital Inc., we have designed a very unique program to really help businesses to understand how to buy debt and how to manage debt. And where do you buy debt? You buy debt from the ECM, the DCM, and the SCM. But how do you manage that debt will ultimately determine how you are best positioned to build wealth. So our program that looks at a strategic approach to debt management calls a number of important concepts to your attention. One, we talk about your income projection analytics. That may be self-explanatory, but when you come into, if it's not, when you come into our program, we'll go deeper into this. We also talk about your expenditure projection analytics. You need to know this when you're going into business. We talk about your NOI analytics, your net operating analytics, and we talk about your ROI, return on investment analytics. And these are important financial concepts for you to understand. Along with this, we go a few steps further. We talk about market dynamics analytics. And guess what? You may be able to do your financial projection, your expenditure projections, your NOI, your ROI, but you just didn't take the time to understand the market dynamics analytics. And what exactly do I mean by market dynamics analytics? Now, when starting a business and going into business, it means that you should have the right information. And that information must never be extracted from speculative analysis. And what is speculative analysis? Speculative analysis is that you sit in your comfort zone, you look at the market, and you perceive that there's an opportunity to cash flow maximize. But that perception doesn't enable you to fully understand who's your target market, the size of your target market, the needs of the target market, the potential of the business to cash flow, competition in the market, how ruthless the competition are, how can you differentiate your products and services from the market as you position to get into that market? Because you are totally speculative in your analysis. The next thing that you might do is depend 101% on secondary data. Now, secondary data could be both good and bad depending on the life cycle of that data. But if you're going to access secondary data that might be 10 and 15 and 20 years old, or perhaps even 5 years old, because market realities continue to shift constantly, using that information can force you to waste time, money, effort, become frustrated and you give up on your business idea. So market analytics really helps you to understand the importance of doing the primary market research. Yes, I know that you might be saying to do primary market research is going to be capital intensive, but the cost of doing that research will justify the ends, and that's the results that you're going after. Doing the primary research really allows you to begin with the end in mind. And what do I mean begin with the end in mind? What this means is that you will be able to clearly identify who you're targeting. It will help you to clearly identify the needs of that target market. It will help you to clearly identify the size of that market. And it's only by understanding the size of the market you can clearly identify the potential to monetize supplying products or service to that target market. It helps you to clearly identify the competition and the strengths and weaknesses of the competition in supplying those needs and wants and expectations of the target market. You're able to apply the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and you're able to apply the PES analysis that looks into political issues, economic issues, social issues, technological issues that may be accommodating or raise barriers to you entering that market and being successful in that market. This is the importance of doing the primary market research. It allows you to make informed and educated decisions. And here is where you can begin with the end in mind and take appropriate action to achieve the end result. So this program in itself that really talks to you about debt management is super, but we go one step further. And before I introduce the other point, which is really looking deep into a concept that we call debt management, I want to just emphasize a couple of things. Businesses go to financial institutions, whether you go to the DCM, the ECM, or the SEM, you're going to buy a debt. And in most cases, you end up buying a bad debt. This is one of the reasons why over 50% of businesses that got started, they fail within the first 5 years. You think you fail because it's a natural process? You fail because you fail to recognize the important process of building out a successful brand. What these programs will do is really help you to understand the process and put you in a position to comply with that process, apply that process, and experience the significant results by complying to those processes. When you are taking debt, it's also important for you to begin with the end in mind. And the end is cash flow maximization, profitability, and significant upscaling of that profitability. But you don't want to start from a speculative standpoint. You don't want to start from a secondary research standpoint. You want to be primarily informed. To be primarily involved, it simply means that you have to understand the market dynamics, and more so, it's important for you to understand debt tools. Now, let me talk a little bit about debt tools. The average entrepreneur going to the bank to take a debt, whether that debt is for a corporate loan, which we want to call a business loan, a BLOC, or a HELOC, or a mortgage, meaning that you're taking a business loan or you're taking a debt to buy your first home. You're buying a debt. Now, in most cases, what you do, you allow that debt to run an entire life cycle, perhaps because that's the best that you know. Depending on the life cycle of that debt, it can predetermine, and I say predetermine because if you're to do the mathematical analysis, you can see this from the get-go, long before you take that debt, if you have all of the right information. And what it can predetermine that the principal balance will double by the time you get to the end of the life cycle. Now, that could be good or bad depending on how inflation is taking place in the country, but regardless of how inflation is taking place, that may give justification for the doubling of the principal. It's absolutely necessary for you to understand debt management leverage. Why? Because understanding debt management leverage It is literally what allows you to understand how to mitigate debt. Now, what exactly does mitigating debt means? It simply means that because you recognize that if you borrow $50 million, by the end of the debt life cycle, you will be paying $100 million, it puts you in a position to say, okay, because I understand debt mitigation strategies, perhaps I can reduce my debt cost. And yes, there are legal, legitimate, smart ways to reduce your debt cost. But it's important for you to understand debt leverage systems. So the programs that we have designed really help you to understand this. So long before you take that debt, you have a clear mental picture, not only about your income projection, your expenditure projection, your NOI, your ROI, and market analytics, but you also understand the icing on the cake, and that's how to manage debt better than most people do. Very, very unique program. Now we have a team of P certified public accountants, CPA. We have a team of business consultants. We have a team of venture capitalists, private equity investors, those who are involved in the investment banking space, to work with you in these processes, to help you navigate the world of business, to help you navigate the world of finance, to help you navigate the world of debt management. You owe it to yourself to learn this much. Now, regardless of if you are an entrepreneur, regardless of if you're the private individual, looking to buy your first home and creating that debt, or regardless of if you're a government institution, these programs can give you a new window into financial management systems, unique tools that we have designed at Global Capital Inc. All right. And there's so much more that I want to share with you. We will talk a lot about asset management. And on the asset management, we have a number of unique portfolios. And there's so much information that we want to bring to you. All right. So I trust that you really enjoyed today's short presentation. And I want to encourage you to like and share and subscribe to this podcast so you will be the first to get this information that we are bringing out to you on a daily basis. So again, I want to begin with the end in mind. I start this program by simply saying, regardless of the level of your education, regardless of how smart you think you are, taking the time to understand financial intelligence, it can have tremendous impact on the way you see money and the steps that you can take, empowering steps that you can take to position yourself to build life, to build wealth. All right, so you can do better for yourself, for your loved ones, the people closest to you. This is in spite of your education level. Regardless of how educated you think you are, regardless of how smart you think you are. And I'm saying this against the backdrop that in late 2018, we see that when the federal government of the United States of America shut down, it affected over 800,000 federal workers. 800,000 is more than some countries' entire population. Can you imagine an entire population in chaos financially? Now, again, in late 2019, the ugly head of the novel coronavirus rose. And today in 2021, people across the world, billions of people across the world, are feeling the negative effects of COVID-19. Wealthy people, middle class people, not so wealthy people, they all are feeling the squeeze. Some are feeling the squeeze where cash flow has literally dried up. Some are feeling the squeeze where cash flow is reducing, or some are feeling the squeeze where there's no income that is coming in because of the realities at hand. Understanding financial intelligence can make a big difference in your life. My name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the multiple best-selling author for several books, including Manager's Toolkit and Billionaire Course. And remember, look out for my new book, 10X Branding and Marketing the psychology of doing business. Remember, reach out to us now in the event that you want a free consultation to learn more about our programs. Be blessed, be safe. Remember, we're in a period of COVID-19, and I want to encourage you to do your best to protect yourself, protect your loved ones, protect those closest to you. See you on the other side.